My name's Christina, and I'm going to cover 7 essential tips you should consider when it comes to your hair care routine. Number 1 is huge, so pay attention. Number 1, you want to be using both the shampoo and conditioner. I can't tell you how many times I've run into someone or even a mom who doesn't use the corresponding conditioner to the shampoo they use. It's not their fault, they're not always informed, but the shampoo and conditioner are formulated to work in tandem with each other. The shampoo, it cleanses, and then the conditioner, it moisturizes in layman's terms. But if you want to get pretty technical with it, the shampoo typically is more acidic, and then the conditioner is typically more alkaline. The pH levels are a little bit different. You need one and the other to be able to neutralize the two. If one is absent, then you're kind of left with something more acidic affecting your scalp or something more alkaline affecting your scalp. And it could maybe leave your hair more dry, or it could leave it extra oily. Anytime I run into a client that has those symptoms, it's usually my first line of defense of what's your hair care routine like? I've met some women with oily hair who don't use conditioner. And how does that make sense? You cleansed and you shampooed and you didn't add moisturizer, but now it's extra oily. That's strange. Well, what I theorize is that when you put something on top of your skin or your scalp that strips it of the moisture, your body wants to regulate what it's missing. So it'll produce oil or sebum, and it may overproduce and overcompensate for what was chemically removed. So if you were to just use the corresponding conditioner, the one that's formulated to the shampoo that you used, then your body doesn't need to compensate for what was missing in the routine. Some people with drier scalps, sometimes I think it's the brand of the shampoo and conditioner might need a change. And when it comes to changing the brand that you use, I would see if you can see something that's less of the drugstore ones. I personally use Function of Beauty, and I've been using it for years to formulate it to my needs and my hair type. If you can find a shampoo and conditioner hair care line that is specific to your hair type and your hair needs, that might be a little bit better to reintegrate. And it's important to maybe use that product for about a month so you can see the effects of what that particular brand does to you. And if that doesn't work, switch over to a different one. It's kind of trial and error, but then once you've kind of zeroed in on what brand you're using and the frequency, your body adapts to what you give it. So for me, when I was a kid, I used to wash my hair every day, almost every other day. And now I wash it maybe twice a week. And my hair, I think it's pretty well regulated. I don't have problems with itchy or dry scalp or over oily hair or anything. And I truly believe it's because I've trained my hair and my scalp to adapt to what works for me instead of having to force different things, But everybody has different needs. Everyone has different types and hair troubles. So being able to address those is super important, but always start from the shampoo and conditioner. Always gonna have that. If you take anything away from this video, please use both your shampoo and conditioner. All right, so number 2, which I kind of touched on already, refrain from washing your hair every day if you can. I understand people are working out, which I do too, and I still manage to be able to not need to wash my hair every day. If you can afford to, wash your hair at least every other day. I actually recommended that to my boyfriend. He was washing his hair every day because it smelled like shop and everything, and it made sense, but I think it was kind of compromising the health and growth of his hair, and we were able to switch it over to doing it every other day. I think it's kind of preserved the thickness, and it just feels better. For sure. If you can switch from washing your hair every day to at least every other day, and if you can make it happen to 2 to 3 times a week, 4 times a week, that'll probably be the most ideal, because honestly, who came up with this idea of every 24 hours you gotta wash your hair? Maybe the germaphobes, I get it, but for the sake of your hair's health, just be able to adapt to that, because depending on where you live also, minerals in the water that you shower with could be affecting your hair too. I know I had some clients that came from the East Coast that moved over to the West Coast. The health of their hair has kind of declined simply from like the hard water of the shower. If you're able to minimize that with just the number of showers you take, I think that's a win already. Also part of that whole experiment of with your hair. If you can tweak it a bit so that you wash it less frequently, your hair is definitely gonna benefit in the long run. And it's gonna adapt to the routine that you start to implement over time. So keep that in mind. Number 3, when you brush your hair, please start from the bottom and work your way to the top, kind of like this. Yeah, it's kind of common sense, but when I was younger, even to this day, my mom, she has like shorter hair than me. She has this habit, which it's fine for her, but then she likes to go from here to here, but you can already hear the tangles, you know. But going from the scalp to the ends, it makes it a little bit difficult. And if you have drier hair, if you have hair that's like less sleek than mine, I don't say that to brag, but if you have hair that tangles a lot, you want to be able to work from the ends all the way up instead of having the tangles bunch up in the middle of your hair and then you're really trying to work through it, versus you have the tangles here and you start to, let me see. Yeah, you have the tangles here and you start to work your way up, and it helps to just grab your hair this way, comb it out, and slowly work your way up so that you're not tugging and hurting your head and everything. It definitely helps prevent more breakage. I understand like there might be some snags here and there, but then it's more productive to be able to work slowly and work your way up as opposed to just creating the biggest mess here, trying to work through it here, and maybe even break more hair than you need to here. So brush your hair from the bottom up, okay? Okay, tip number 4. Ooh, actually I have 2 tips with a brush. Okay, so there are a couple methods to detangling, and I should also preface that like a lot of these tips are for like can be applied to like all hair types, but then I guess I am coming from the standpoint of like straighter to wavier hair. Tips might vary a little bit with like more coarse hair and might be addressed a little bit differently, so forgive me and bear with me with that. This in particular, when you're detangling your hair, especially like in the shower, which you definitely want to do with caution because your hair is at its most vulnerable when it's wet. So just in general, you want to be able to use wider bristled brushes and combs. This isn't like the best. I don't really use this for detangling, but then you can see how wide the teeth are from each other, and they're much more gentle for detangling as opposed to using something that's like finer tooth. This is gonna be the worst nightmare, your worst nightmare when it comes to detangling. So you don't want to use a comb like this, or avoid it as much as possible, especially like out of the shower working with wet hair. So you can use this. You can see how wide this is. I even have a brush like this in my shower when I detangle, and I don't have much fallout. Just, yeah, be gentle, work it from the bottom up. This is great. But also, when you use a brush like this, you can see, okay, you can see that vertically, there's straight lines, right? Versus here, they're kind of stagger. Like, it's not exactly like a straight line. They're, like, the rows aren't that straight, if that makes sense. These aren't too bad, but then, let me see. I guess this is a little easier to see, but you see how the bristles are vertical? Like, those rows are pretty distinct. But here, this first bristle, like the second row, doesn't quite align well. It's offset. My tip is to brush your hair, or maybe your daughter's hair or whatever, brush it vertically this way so that the strands are parallel to the bristles, or the bristles are parallel to the strands. It makes it like a little gentler when you detangle, as opposed to this which would automatically like put the hair in different rows. Here, I'll show you right now. You see, like, the hair isn't exactly parallel. If there were tangles, it might be just a little bit more difficult to take out the tangles versus just having it brushed this way. And all the hair can fall in between the rows. Okay, tip number 6 is to use, if you can, use hair clips over hair ties. If you're like a ponytail girly, you might want to just use one of these claws. And I know it's just in style already, like you might already have this as your go-to. But I know when I was growing up, I always used ponytails, especially the goody. There's just a lot of tension on your head when you use hair ties. I've been using another style of hair ties that's not exactly like a scrunchie, but it feels like it's fabric. I especially use it when I have my braids in and I need to tie my hair. So when I actually like wear ponytails, I'll use one of these kinds. Gosh, they're always so beat up. I buy like bunches of these and I lose them all the time, or I'll stretch them out too much where, oh, this isn't even that bad. The width, this is getting kind of bad. The garter of it, the elasticity is pretty poop. So they're cool while they last, but then they don't last very long. So that's definitely less tension than say this type. This is like the Goody brand. Man, I can't believe they used to have like the metal part that would join these and it would just snag your hair, and then they improved to this little join where it's like melted plastic, but still your hair kind of gets caught there. But even just the thickness or lack thereof doesn't really hold very well. Yeah, this kind of sucks, and I've just completely phased it out of my actual everyday wear. I've only really just used clips for my hair. But as like a subset to this tip, if you can't let go of the hair tie lifestyle, which is fine, maybe you need your hair tied up for work and it's cool, but I would recommend, if you always wear your hair in one spot, I highly recommend kind of switching it up every so often. Maybe you're gonna wear like a mid bun or a low bun. And I find that really important because there's gonna be less chances of there being like traction alopecia, and that's what happens when there's like there's too much tension and it creates a bald spot. I have a couple of friends, some of them are guys. Okay, I have this one guy friend. He has longer hair and he ties it back here. And when I went to braid it one time, there's a bald spot. And I'm certain that's just simply from like tying your hair too much. And I just want to warn any of my ponytail girlies that like you're going to need to switch it up from time to time, because your hair's going to get used to that, but it's also going to just like be susceptible to being pulled out. And I don't want that to happen to anybody. But that almost will never happen with the use of a hair clip. So if you can change up to this one, there are some really like high quality ones that can keep your hair up and out of your face like all day. Find those and it's gonna just be so much more gentle for your hair. Okay, number 7. Am I 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Okay, I'm getting my numbers mixed up. It doesn't matter. My next one is use a satin or silk pillowcase and buy at least 2 sets. You know, one for when one is being washed. I have 2 sets of pillows, so I always have like 4 pillowcases. Satin and silk pillowcases are so much better for your, not only your hair, but also your skin, because there's less being, I guess, trapped in the fabric. The silk and satin pillowcase, it's just become a staple at this point, whether my hair is in braids or if it's just like how it is right now. And the reason for that is the lack of abrasion and friction between your hair and the pillowcase. You may be tossing and turning like I do, and there's just gonna be a lot of rubbing. And you can only imagine if like for 8 hours, or you know, if you get only 6 hours like me, your hair being micro tugged and pulled with the cotton pillowcase that you usually use. That's like a third or quarter of our lives of our hair just being all night. maybe you don't move, but I move all night, you know, like I'm always changing positions and all that, and my hair is just like shh. But I get like less bed hair. My hair's just nice and like tamed in the morning afterward. I guess that's like another plus to using the satin silk pillowcase. Make that a part of your bedding arsenal if you can, and like you travel a lot, have a travel one that you can pop on your hotel or Airbnb pillows. Just don't forget it, don't leave it. But that's gonna be super helpful. And if you are like on a budget and you can't do that, find a silk or satin scarf. You can either wrap your head with it, and if you don't like that type of feel, maybe safety pin it to your pillow. I haven't done that, but I would imagine it works like just as well. Just so there's just less abrasion on your hair whenever you're sleeping. Silk scarves and satin scarves are a little bit more accessible than the pillowcase, but I'm seeing more and more brands in like Target or Walmart for those kinds of pillowcases. So be on the lookout and add it to your bedding arsenal. Your skin's gonna thank you also. Okay, and lastly, huge thing that my long haired peoples don't do enough is to get a regular trim. It is so important for your health of hair, because if you're getting frustrated when like you run your fingers through your hair and it gets all snagged and whatever, you can have the silkiest hair too, and it's still gonna happen because your hair is just gonna wanna start to tangle within itself because of how dry it is, and you're not addressing those ends. And the huge thing is, you know, all my girlies who want to grow out their hair, my little princesses that want princess hair, get those trims. If you're a mom and your little girl wants this princess hair but it's all tangled up, bring them to me and I will trim their hair so that it grows nice and healthy. And I'm so serious. Like, we need to, it's just great practice to reintegrate, like, and it's not a monthly thing for the most part. For if you have like moderate dryness with your hair and it just grows regularly, somewhere between 3 and 6 months is good. I'm able to push mine to about 6-7 months. Yeah, I should have gotten it by the 6th month. Twice a year. Is that twice a year? Twice a year. Get a haircut. Get a trim. If you find somebody like me who wants to put the health of your hair first and isn't like scissor happy, my scissors are really guided by what is going to make your hair healthy, and not because I just want to chop all this hair off. The good thing about getting a regular trim with the same stylist that knows the haircut that they gave you, you can just come back, let's say after 6 months or after 1/4, 3 months, and I can literally give you the same exact haircut that's probably an inch or 1.5 inches shorter than before, and your hair's just gonna grow so much faster. If you're in a position where you're like, oh, my hair just stops growing, like it won't get past a certain length, baby, it hasn't stopped growing. It's only breaking off at the ends, and that's the issue. Your hair is growing at the same rate that it has been for a minute. As we age, to an extent, it's gonna like grow a little slower, but for a majority of our life, it's growing at a pretty similar rate. It doesn't be like, oh, 28, let's stop growing. That's not it. No, it's at the ends, because they're so dead and unaddressed, they're gonna grow and just keep getting chopped off. And that's what we're trying to remove. We're trying to remove those ends that keep breaking so that it just keeps growing and growing and growing. So find a stylist. If it's not me, make sure the stylist knows what they're doing and they give you that haircut. And if you love it and you keep it forever, come back, we'll give you the same haircut, and it'll just get longer and longer and longer if we set that mindset, set that program of like, okay, it's gonna be this length just for a little bit, and the more I take care of it, the more it's gonna love me back, because that's all it wants to do. It just wants to love you back, but you don't love it. You're trying to do all sorts of bandages and stuff, but sometimes you just gotta cut off that energy and start from zero. If you're scared to start from zero, you know, we're gonna inch towards that so we can get back to those inches that we're actually looking for. Yeah, so if you're looking for a haircut in the LA San Fernando Valley area, I'm your girl. And if not, please just get those regular trims every 4 to 6 months and love your hair. It just wants to love you back. So those are my 7 essential tips that I think you must have in your hair care routine. If you think I missed any of them, please comment below. If I need another video expanding on one thing or maybe adding to this, let me know. And if you have any other questions, put them in the comment section and I would love to get back to you in there or in another video. But until next time, I will see you. Bye. Thanks for tuning in.